A lot of you have likely heard of all of the mainline Animal Crossing games, from the GameCube original all the way to New Horizons. You may also be familiar with the two spin-off games Happy Home Designer and Amiibo Festival. However, there are quite a few well-hidden interactions in the first-generation titles that unlock little mini-games that you can play separately. Taking a look at the original games, they had extensive Game Boy Advance connectivity, along with hundreds of physical e-reader cards. And it is by looking at this GBA connectivity that we find a lot of Animal Crossing subgames that I doubt a lot of people even knew existed. Honestly, it's difficult to even find high-quality footage of these games online. So today, let's take a look at these official GBA minigames and what they have to offer. First, if you're at all familiar with any of Animal Crossing's GBA games, you are likely to at least know about Animal Island, which was the main appeal to connecting your Game Boy to the original game. In the original Animal Crossing, you actually couldn't visit the island without glitches if you did not own a Game Boy Advance and a link cable. In this fashion, Kapp'n and all the features of the island are gatekept behind owning a Game Boy Advance in addition to the actual game. Even so, like most things in this game, they put significant effort into the island, and there's some pretty cool intricacies to it. When leaving the island, Kapp'n offers to save the island's data to your connected GBA. If you agree, you'll get a version of your game's island on your Game Boy, and you can play the Animal Island minigame whenever you're away from your GameCube. Unfortunately, there isn't really much to do in the game itself, as it's mostly just interacting with the island villager who will occasionally obtain various items that you can transfer back to your GameCube. In this sense, the gameplay sort of reminds me of like an old Tamagotchi toy, where you just check in on your villager every now and then and try to make them happy. And even though there's not much to this game, again, that's not to say there wasn't substantial effort put in. There are unique sprites for each island villager, and each one has their own personality affecting what actions make them happy and how quickly. If you make them really happy, they can even dig up some exclusive NES items like Wario's Woods and Baseball. After you're done fiddling around on the GBA, you can choose to upload the data back to the GameCube, which transfers any items and changes to the island to the main game. If you have a friend who also plays this Animal Island minigame, you can even swap islands with them entirely, or just choose to visit their island in your game. Anyways, the Animal Island minigame is the main GBA game associated with Animal Crossing, but we're really just getting started, as there are quite a few more exclusive to the e-reader and Japan. But before we get into that, I'd like to talk to you all about YouTube Premium. I've personally been subscribed to YouTube Premium for a while now, and believe it or not, I've actually saved money by doing so. The main appeal to YouTube Premium is, of course, the ad-free viewing experience on all videos. But with a premium subscription, you also get access to so many more features. The main kicker for me is access to YouTube's premium music app. If you can think of a song, there's a good chance YouTube will have it. And with customized playlist, lyric features, and music videos all built in, I actually canceled my other music provider subscriptions and now exclusively use YouTube's music app through YouTube Premium. With how often I use YouTube and with all of these features bundled together in one package, subscribing to Premium has been one of my best purchases to date. If you'd like to try YouTube Premium for yourself, you can sign up with my affiliate link in the description and get 2 months of Premium entirely for free. And if you sign up with my link, I may also receive a commission, meaning you'll be directly supporting this channel as well. Special thanks to YouTube for this sponsorship and for sharing this opportunity with you all. Back to this video, let's dive into the e-reader games, which are pretty simplistic but also have their own unique charm. These games required the e-reader adapter, which was another separate purchase, along with Animal Crossing themed e-reader cards, making access to these games quite expensive nowadays. If you scan the first 2 boy e-reader cards, you get to play Animal Relay. In this small game, you get to scan 3 Animal Crossing character cards of your choosing to draft your racing team. Each villager has their own speed stat, and so long as your team's combined stats outweigh your opponent's, you will win the race every time. These stats are hidden, so if you don't really know the stats of anyone and just try to draft the exact same team as your opponent, you will lose every time. There are 6 possible teams you can face depending on the card you swipe, each representing a different difficulty. If you win, the game will give you a password that you can redeem in Animal Crossing to get various in-game rewards, which is pretty neat, I guess. This will be the case for most e-reader games we cover, but the rewards are actually pretty decent items. Moving on, if you scan the first 2 girl e-cards, you get to play Animal Jump Rope, which works near identically to the relay race. You scan 3 character cards to serve as your team, and depending on their combined stats, they will jump rope a predetermined number of times. There are rewards if you reach 10, 20, and 30 jumps total. Scanning the 3rd or 4th boy e-cards will let you play the 3-legged race. This works similarly to the relay race, but instead of 3 villagers, you only scan in 1, and that villager will team up with you in a 3-legged race. Further, rather than having a predetermined result, this game actually requires player input, where you have to alternate between pressing the D-pad and B when this line reaches either side of this bar. Doing so correctly will move your team forward, but failing an input will cause you to trip. Honestly, this game is so easy that you have to be pretty bad to trip and lose. If you scan the 3rd or 4th girl player card, you get to play Matchmakers, hosted by Timmy and Tommy. In this game, you have to scan 2 character cards of the opposite gender, and Timmy and Tommy will determine how compatible they are. And this is pretty interesting because how compatible 2 characters are is determined by their astrology star signs and their personality. There are actually 10 different personality traits depending on the character's gender, some of which are similar to the main series personalities, and others are used exclusively for special characters. To play as an example, Cube, who is considered a meticulous Aquarius, is apparently extremely compatible with Gwen, who is a bossy Aquarius. This game works on a point system where each personality and star sign have their own preferences. Getting max points will result in a perfect match, and Timmy and Tommy will give you a password as a reward. It's worthy to note that scanning 2 character cards of the same gender will boot you out and prompt you to make sure that the characters are different genders. Due to this game differs slightly in Japan because Blanca and Gracie are considered males in that version, whereas here they are considered female. Interestingly, Sahara is also supposed to be female in the North American version, but they didn't update her gender in this minigame, so this is the only official instance of an English-released Animal Crossing game where Sahara is considered male. Scanning the 5th or 6th boy card loads up the Tug of War game. Just like the foot races, this is another game where you just draft a team of 3 and watch them try to beat computer teams based on combined stats. And, if you're feeling a little wild, you can even draft 2 teams yourself and pit them against each other, which is really fun to play with, for like 30 seconds. Moving on to the 5th and 6th girl cards, scanning these will boot up a fireworks show on your GBA. If you then scan any character card, the game will launch some fireworks. Wait, that's it? Apparently, each character card has a unique number, shape, and size of fireworks, and given that there are hundreds of these cards, this amount of effort for such a small little game is pretty impressive, I guess. The fireworks are arbitrarily judged at the end of the show, and you'll receive a password reward depending on how it's scored, with each character card always receiving the same score. Scanning our last set of boy cards will let you play Who Done It, hosted by Booker and Copper. In this game, Booker or Copper will claim a crime has been committed and will give you various hints on who the culprit is. After receiving some clues, you are given the option to scan a character card to guess who done it. You can receive a maximum of 5 hints, after which you must guess or restart the game. Correctly guessing the culprit rewards you with an item password. I'm not entirely sure how many possible culprits there are programmed into this game, but it's admittedly pretty fun to try and figure out which villager they're talking about. But yes, you do actually need the culprit's e-reader card to correctly guess them. Meaning if Booker or Copper give you hints on a villager that you don't have the e-reader card for, well, you're out of luck. So if you don't have like every character card, then this probably isn't the game for you. Finally, scanning the last 2 girl player cards will just bring up Katrina, who will give you a fortune and a password code depending on which character card you scan. Like the fireworks show, there's a unique fortune for every character card, which is pretty impressive. Now, these e-reader games are fun little pastimes, but as you can probably see, they are more just like a one-and-done gimmick that I doubt a lot of people return to. Still, it's pretty neat to see a lot of effort put into such a niche little mechanic. We do have one more set of GBA games to cover though, and I've saved the most fun for last. The only thing is that these games are unfortunately exclusive to Japan's Doubutsu no Mori E+. In this game only, you can go to the wishing well on specific days and ask to play a minigame on your GBA. On Mondays and Thursdays, the available game is Daruma-san ga Karonda, better known in English as Red Light, Green Light. Here, a villager will turn their back and the player has to repeatedly press A to run up the screen. Just be careful not to move when the villager turns around to see you, or you're out. Successfully making it to the end will get you an in-game prize. The next game is Danjanken, which is available on Tuesdays and Fridays. This is a game where you team up with 2 other villagers and try to get to the opposing team's end of the log first. Whenever 2 villagers meet on the log, they have to play a game of Janken, aka rock paper scissors, to determine who can progress. This process is repeated until one team makes it to the end. You must also balance yourself on the log with the shoulder buttons and repeatedly press the D-pad, making the game pretty challenging at times. The last game is available on Wednesdays and Saturdays and is called Nakadoji, meaning inner dodgeball. The objective of this game is to dodge the balls thrown by the opposing villagers on the outside of the square. If you're the last one standing in the square, you win. Sounds simple enough, but I swear this game is extremely hard. You do have a dive move with A that gives you invincibility frames, but there's a cooldown when using it. The villagers also throw the ball extremely fast and seemingly always target you. Even when you try to bait them to hit other villagers, they seem to know and wait to throw the ball. Sometimes they'll even fake you out and throw the ball over the entire playing field to the other villager and nail you with a fastball after. I like to consider myself pretty decent at games, but I promise this one's quite difficult. And with that, we've covered every Animal Crossing game on the GBA connected to the first generation games. It should be noted that the GBA can also be used to play the NES furniture games via a form of download play, which is also super cool. This works because Animal Crossing not only includes all of the NES ROMs on its disc, but also includes a GBA version of each game and sends that data to the GBA's RAM to play. The only games you can't play this way are Clu Clu Land D, Punch-Out!, Wario's Woods, and The Legend of Zelda, since one is a Famicom Disk System game and the others are too large to fit on the GBA's RAM. Regardless, it shocks me at how much effort Nintendo put into GBA connectivity in the original Animal Crossing games. And if you're anything like me, you probably didn't even know some of these games existed until way later. That said, I hope you enjoyed our coverage of these games here. Special shoutouts to Lunascape, Lorenzo, Cynthia, Mentis98, Silly Marina, Villager, Cass, Hornet, Terumi, Benny Diddy, Pidge01, Kai D, ComfyBoy404, Japan Eat, Tammy's Head, Comfy, Exploding Bears, Holly Molly, Sitz, Idrin, and Bobby Nard. And as always, thank you all for watching. Until next time.